Most people have a Google My Business page. They don't realize that 750 characters of a bio that is free space to influence the AI algorithm.
Yep.
So this output gives you all of those content that you can simply copy paste after the interview. The other piece that they should look into is there's a term called NAP. It's not NAPN. It's name, address, phone number.
The basics.
So you got to look at everywhere. You got to have the same name, same address, same phone number. But if it's not, it's confusing AI, it dilutes the signals. So that's the foundation, Jason. I think most people are just need to start there.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowsky, and welcome to another episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. Today's episode is a big one. For roughly 24 years, my guest helped to shape the digital backbone of BHHS Fox Roach Realtors as Senior Vice President of Digital Marketing and Innovation. However, today, and for the first time on this podcast, I now welcome him as the new Chief AI Officer at Bright MLS, where he is starting an exciting new chapter leading the AI space at one of the largest multiple listing services in the entire country. As many of you know, Rajeev has become one of the leading minds in AI nationwide, traveling across the country, educating brokers, agents, and industry leaders on how to move from curiosity to capability with AI. He truly has a rare gift for taking complex technology and translating it into a practical strategy. He's also the host of the popular Real Estate AI Flash podcast, where he consistently delivers sharp, actionable insights on the future of our business as it relates to AI with his many guests. But beyond the titles and accomplishments, Rajeev is simply one of the best people you'll meet in this business and someone I'm lucky enough to call a friend. So today, we're catching up with one of the best minds in the industry, Rajeev Sajja. He is back. He is no stranger to the podcast, but maybe his role has shifted a little bit since the last time that we had the opportunity to talk to my guest, Rajeev Sajja. Rajeev, man, it's been a little while since we've had you on the podcast. A lot has changed. You become a podcast extraordinaire. You travel the country. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be back on the podcast. I love your space here, studio.
I know. Speaking of changes,
yeah, if
right?
you're looking at us on YouTube, you should see Jason's lifted his game up a little bit with podcasting.
Well, listen, we were talking about we all have to try to up our game a little bit,
sure.
Especially on the podcast side. It's nice to be in the studio and to have you here in person.
Yes,
and
sir.
one thing that I'm very excited about is to have you down here in studio so we could do this face to face. But obviously, a lot of changes going on. So I want to start with the question. You spent almost 24 years with Fox and Roach. And so when you reflect on your journey, what are you most proud of with your time at Fox and Roach?
You know, I have to say, first of all, it has been definitely the most meaningful part of my professional career, by far. And the relationships I've built, friendships that are so deep, are obviously priceless. And I think I've gone through, I started in 2001, 2002, tax day. So I started tax day, which is easy to remember when your start date was. So we went through a couple of major transitions during my time. One was the advent of the internet, just was taken off as a medium of business and communication. And I started with Fox Roach from a newspaper ad. Right? Which is crazy
in itself, yeah.
In a small, 3-line newspaper ad, infrastructure manager, that literally changed my life for many reasons. So I started in tech, pure tech, and then the internet was sort of taking hold, and then I sort of moved to digital, e-commerce, and then the whole mobile thing picked up right behind that. So there have been several transformations. Obviously, we'll get into the AI stuff, which is the most recent one. But I felt like the things that I hold dear to my heart are the fact that I helped, through an amazing team we have in the digital team and the marketing team, help navigate our company through those changes to really empower our sales associates to win. And I'd like to think that at some level, in a small but meaningful way, I have helped many of our agents be better at leveraging the things we offer than without me. So that's probably the thing I hold dear to my heart.
Well, I want to take this opportunity just to say thank you, as I'm sure I speak for all of our agents at Fox and Roach. You were known throughout the company. You were always there in person to guide us through some of these changes. You talk about changes in technology, in the digital space, all the things that you carried us through just meant the world to me. I remember, way back when we had the professionals and you used to show up and actually, kind of pick our brains.
Yeah.
And then with Burke Tech, you were always there in the background to help guide us through these things. So I want to say thank you first and foremost. And, we talk about pivotal moments throughout the course of your tenure with Fox and Roach. What are some of the pivotal moments that stand out to you during your time that shaped who you are as a leader today?
I think it starts with the people. I think, look, tech is here one day, not here one day. It's changing every day. And with AI, it's every hour. But the quality of people that I was able to surround myself with great agents like yourself, management, the regional managers, L4, L5, that really, I think, shaped who I became over time. So I only take a very small part of that as a credit to the fact that I learned, but it was the influence that all of them have had. And I think a majority of that comes from the amazing agents that I got a chance to work with every day, that really pushed us to explore new boundaries, keep pushing, keep innovating. As Larry L5 would love to say, be better tomorrow than we are today. And I think that's just a culture, a theme, and leadership trait that I've carried across in all aspects of my life. So,
well, I think one thing that always stood out to me is that you were always leading the charge in innovation. And obviously that was your title with Fox and Roach. But you kept us in front of everybody else for a number of years. And it just you always felt like you were in good hands with you. I know we're taking a stroll down memory lane right now, but I want to take this opportunity to talk about your time because I know a lot of our agents want to hear from you, right? Now that you're on to your new chapter, and we're going to get into that. Parting with a company that you've grown with over the span of 24 years is obviously an emotional experience. And so how did you process the bittersweet nature of that decision?
It's interesting. It clearly was emotional because when you're at that place close to 24 years, you're sort of known by everybody. Your role is more public-facing than in the background. But when I look back on that decision, I wanted to do what I felt. I've developed a new mission, Jason, when AI first launched, and that's really the mission of my podcast as well and everything I'm doing, which is make AI approachable and actionable for all real estate professionals. And I think as much as one chapter has ended and the new one began, that mission I'm committed to that mission. We're doing AI masterminds exclusive for Fox Roach and things of that nature. But I didn't want to, although I had offers from competitors, my conscience would not permit me to go to a competitor because of my relationship with Fox Roach. But I felt like there was a bigger step to take in the transformative moment we find ourselves today with AI. And I think it offered me, the new position offered me a way to continue what I'm doing and, quite frankly, make a bigger impact. And, as you know, we have close to 4,500 agents, whatever, at Fox and Roach. Bright subscribers are at 100,000, right? So that's a bigger impact. And then it'll open doors at the industry level that otherwise would not have opened that easily. So my true north has always been that, which is a new true north since AI has launched. So I think that's what sort of made the decision a little bit more easier, but didn't come with a lot of heartache and emotional distress in many ways. But I had to be comfortable with making that change because opportunities don't come by that often.
I'm a huge believer in when an opportunity like this arises, right? You have to take it. And I think that your natural progression and how you've grown in your career, and especially lately with, like I had mentioned before, going across the country teaching on AI, your podcast has grown substantially. It was just a natural progression for you, and you're going where you're needed, right? Like you're going to have a bigger impact like you talked about. And I know you're still going to be around. So it's not like this is a parting or a farewell between us. Obviously, it's just evolving in your career. And so for professionals who've been somewhere for a long time, and what advice would you give them about recognizing when growth requires change? Because I know me personally, in the past couple of years, obviously we talked about the podcast starting during the pandemic. That was a big leap for me. I now have another company that's, a home management company. How do you talk about, when opportunities arise, recognizing that growth when required change happens?
I think it has a lot to do with what is your real purpose, number one. So if you have a clear purpose, that helps clarify the opportunity. Is it should I take it or not take it? Like if I were to taking a step back, if I got a role of a similar role at just a tech company, it would not align with my purpose. And real estate is kind of an interesting industry because it's like Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. You know what I mean? So I love the industry. I love what the people represent. I love what they do for clients, consumers. So I didn't want to leave the industry. And it would not support my mission of making real estate approach. So I think if you have your purpose clear, it'll help sort stuff out. But I'll tell you, I had a candid conversation with my wife. My wife was saying, "What are you going to do? Like this is like." In when I was making the decision. And I said, I'm really, really not 100% sure. And my wife said, you know what, you only live once. Like, if you don't do it now, I mean, you're not young. I mean, I look young, but I'm not young. I mean, you got probably another decade of work. So opportunities, crossroads, what is that Yogi Berra thing? When you come across a crossing, you just take the exit type of thing. So I think if your purpose is aligned, if it's an opportunity that's going to let you do more, better, and faster that supports your purpose, you only live once. You got to really entertain it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my bio for years, I had striving to be better every day, right? And I know you live by that credo. I think in just watching you kind of take off, you're like, yeah, it makes sense. That's Rajeev, even Fit Fox Tribe, we used to get out there and do it. Even we were talking about your fitness goals before we came on, your sleep and everything. You're just very, very regimented, very about growing in different areas. And I know that, you'll be fantastic in your new role. And, you are considered now widely to be one of the foremost mouthpieces of AI, especially in the real estate field as it relates to real estate. So over the past few years, you become known as a national expert. When did you first realize that this wasn't just a side interest, but something that is much bigger? I know I've heard you tell the story many times about it was Thanksgiving, AI comes on the scene, you immediately dive into it. What was that light bulb moment for you?
It's interesting. I don't think I've ever shared this story, so we'll break news on the pod.
Okay.
But sometimes it's easier to connect the dots looking back versus connecting the dots looking ahead. Sometimes there's uncertainty ahead. But there is a YouTube video, we can put a link in the show notes that people should watch. It's like 400 million views, Thinking Game from Google, which was only released 2 months ago. So I got 400 million views. But I heard of the story. It's called the Move 37 moment, Jason. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, so this is in 2016 now. Well before, and I read the story well before it became this 400 million video that Google released. So it is basically a board game called Go, in Southeast Asia somewhere.
Okay.
And the champion, Lee Sedol, was an 18-time world champion of the game, board game. But this time he was not playing a human, he was playing a machine. And the machine was the Google DeepMind game avatar called AlphaGo.
Okay.
So, and the reason it was a Move 37 moment was a technology breakthrough was on the 37th move of AlphaGo, it made a move that a human in 1 in 10,000 times would have made. And people that were sitting in the audience felt like that's such a stupid move. And it won the game because it wasn't a bold move because of risk. It was a bold move grounded in data, which was a real eye-opener. And so that was when sort of early word was like this AI thing was, and that's 2016. We were introduced to 2022 general population with ChatGPT. So when it came out, I just felt that this was a Move 37 moment for my career in many ways. And if you're listening to this year could be your Move 37 moment where AI becomes a so integral part responsibly, where you really serve your clients better at a higher level. So I just hope the listeners have a Move 37 moment.
You know, it's funny. So you're 100% correct. I have a client right now that he has a collection of very expensive guitars, and his maintenance of these guitars is probably a little bit over the top, but they're like his children, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about these guitars, and when we're on the phone, he is constantly asking AI how to maintain these guitars at their humidity level, what type of cases would be best. It's amazing just the data and what you can pull out of AI on a daily basis. I mean, you've been on the forefront of this forever, but it just becomes an integral part of what we're doing. I see more and more clients now accessing AI to grow their knowledge base about the real estate market. And so when we go into our appointments now, I think we really need to be on our P's and Q's a lot more because, obviously they know a lot. Obviously it's not going to take the place of what we do, but it's amazing. You can see the knowledge shift in what they're doing. When Zillow and Realtor.com, some of these real estate portals came on the scene, obviously they had access to data, but this gives them a next level understanding of how things work in real estate, which we see when we're out in the field now.
Yeah, 100%. I think 1000 Watt came out with a survey recently. Brian Boer, I'm actually having him on my podcast to talk about this.
Yeah, nice guy. Yeah.
How buyers and sellers are using AI. So they interviewed 1,500 buyers and sellers. And this was late 2025. So it's probably the numbers have sort of inched up. And the first question there, how are you using AI to find and evaluate agents? This is finding agents now. 61% said yes. This was in November 2025. So that number is probably north of 70 now.
Yeah.
The next question was, of the 61%, how helpful was AI in helping you identify and select an agent? 46% said very helpful. 51% said helpful, but I still had to do my due diligence. So that 97% of the 61% used AI to scope out an agent. So I think if you're listening to this, you got to figure out, and we're doing a webinar on this like tomorrow, but you'll get a recording of this.
Give me a sneak peek.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is about being found, being believed, and be chosen. That's the journey everybody needs to be on. So there's certain paths, and we can get into it if you want to, in terms of the things that you need to start thinking about. The other thing that Brian said on a webinar that I was on, he said, now consumers have two agents working for them. It's the buyer agent or the seller agent, that's the human, and then they have the AI agent in the back pocket that are verifying, validating what you're saying. So to your point, you got to bring your A+ game to every buyer or seller consultation.
Absolutely. And while we have you here, let's just take an opportunity to ask you, if you want to get found on AI and you are an agent, what's the fastest way to do so?
I think there's two parts here. One is the easy one. And then the second one is ongoing. One is you got to build the right foundation in terms of your bio that is discoverable across the web. Most agents have just failed. So if you just take an introspective view of all your bios on Realtor.com, Google My Business, that is, plus your website, all of the places that a cookie crumbs of your web exist, they need to tell the same story. So we can include the link in the show notes. We have a ChatGPT, custom GPT for Agent Bio Visibility Optimizer that literally you can copy and paste a bio, it interviews 10 questions, and then it gives you copy. Most people have a Google My Business page. They don't realize that it's 750 characters of a bio that is free space to influence the AI algorithm. So this output gives you all of those content that you can simply copy paste after the interview. The other piece that they should look into is there's a term called NAP. It's not NAPN. It's name, address, phone number. So you got to look at everywhere. You got to have the same name, same address, same phone number. But if it's not, it's confusing AI. It dilutes the signals. So that's the foundation, Jason. I think most people just need to start there.
Yeah.
Right. Get that done. And once you do that, you don't need to revisit your bio every maybe 6 months, every year. You got to update it. Then the bigger piece is we've moved from keyword-centric searches on Google to conversational style searches on AI. And I think people are doing that already, which is, I want to sell my luxury home in Bluebell. Who is a agent that can sell it for the highest price in the quickest fashion? So that's a long tail search. So they're asking AI, so you need to be able to have content that talks to that specific ask. So we built an AI answer builder, custom GPT again, that asks you for the topic, gives you suggestions for topics, and gives you the content that you can then go write a blog post with it, post it on LinkedIn as an article, and also gives you a YouTube script so you can do a YouTube video, because guess what? YouTube is owned by Google, as you all know. And if you're doing this on Chrome, I can show proof of somebody that built a page, and in 24 hours, they're ranking for that. So I think there's a gold rush move. If you're listening to this right now in March, this year is your gold rush move to get ahead. Of that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And your custom GPTs, I used it for my bios to get everything synced up. So again, we're optimizing us being found on AI, along with our home light and fast expert profiles being updated. I don't know if you want to touch upon. I don't want to get off on a tangent about these things, but obviously, listening to you talk right now. There's so much to be done nowadays. It can be a little overwhelming, but at least get started on the process. Like you said, the low-hanging fruit is your bios. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, low-hanging fruit is your bios. The other thing I'll tell you, if you want to take it like different steps, I do the bios. It probably takes you 2 to 3 hours to complete it. Start wherever you start, and then finish and copy and paste. And that's done. You never have to go back to it again. It's like a foundational thing. The second piece I do is I look at your website and build specialization as a category. Everybody says, who's your audience? I sell to everybody. That AI doesn't like that, okay? But you need to rank for relocation, first-time home buyers, luxury. Write a page on your website that talks to why you're the agent for luxury or whatever those topics are. And then go to specific answer questions that are time sensitive. Who's the top agent in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, to sell my luxury home for the best price? That's a question they're asking. That just becomes a blog post that you address that question. So start with bios, move to specialization pages, because specialization pages, they're probably 10, 12, right? And that's it. And again, those are rinse and repeat. You set it up and you're done. Then move to answering specific questions. And that's where the custom GPTs will fasten the flow.
It's funny that you're mentioning this, because literally that's what I'm working on right now. Like some of the blog posts, having a specialization page on my website, all those things are going to be critically important moving forward. So we're touching upon just a little nugget of your expertise, right? So what has it been like to suddenly be in the spotlight as a go-to voice in the AI space?
Look, first of all, it's deeply humbling. Second, I didn't set out to be the voice of AI for real estate. And there's several good people in the space. Jason Pantana is one. I can think of a few. But look, I think with great visibility comes great responsibility. So every time I speak on a microphone, podcast, keynote, you got to really only share tried and true stuff that has worked for people versus just sounding impressive. Right? And you just do, so I think people listen to your voice. I have a weekly newsletter that goes out to people. I don't put anything in there that I've not tried, or I've heard from a trusted source that they've tried. So I think it's just comes with more responsibility. And, look, Jason, it's only 3 years in. Just think about where this world is going to be a decade down the road, right? So I'm just glad to be in this moment, helping navigate this industry.
Well, I mean, before AI came on the scene, you were just known as our expert, right? Our digital expert, our guy that we leaned on for tech. You were always at the frontier of something. So I don't want to typecast you, right, as an AI guy, strictly an AI guy. You're all over the map in terms of tech. But how has it been, and how has it changed your career identity dealing with the AI space? Because you talk about this every single day now. You're on the AI, train.
Yeah, no, look, I think, one of the reasons I have arrived at the point I've arrived at is also the background I have with working with agents like yourself and across the board brokerage leaders. 24 years is a long time. So I have relationships across the industry of like-minded people. So technology for the sake of technology, who really gives a flip, right? But if it can move the needle in your business, AI can fill that. So I've just developed, and I still continue to work on it, developed a way to transcend and use technology to share stories that move people with their business. And I'm not a pure technologist because I have a background in working with agents. So having the agent and brokerage experience has been priceless for me in arriving at the moment I've arrived at. Because if it doesn't help people be better, we shouldn't be talking about the tech. We should be talking about what it is doing to agents with the tech.
Well, I think one thing that always struck me about you is, number one, your patience, right? Because everybody learns at a different level when it comes to technology. Now you and I are getting a little bit older. I see the stuff that's coming in, and now I'm doing my best to not fall in the trap of not evolving with the technology and not fighting it, but learning how to use it and to learn it as another new language, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is that you always made it digestible for everybody to understand. And I think you bring up a great point. I could have you on this podcast and we could talk about stuff that probably 90% of the people out there are not going to pick up listening to this podcast, but you keep it to easily understandable and digestible pieces of information that are critical to people's business. And I think you bring up a great point of that being, a fundamental part of what you do every day. So I want to know, in your opinion, how is AI going to fundamentally reshape real estate and brokerage operations over the next 5 years? What are we going to be looking? You had mentioned when you first got hired, it was an ad in the newspaper, which is just like, it seems so ridiculously quaint at this point in time, and the shift that we've seen. How big is the shift going to be in 5 years from a brokerage standpoint?
I think it's going to be massive. But I'll tell you what will change and what won't change, right? So what will change is everything you spend time on. I read an article, The Future of Work, right? So most people are just dabbling with AI models, ChatGPT, Gemini, just ask it a question, send stuff. The next one is some people are getting trained. We talk about mastermind stuff, learn, be curious, explore. And the third is actually getting work done so it takes time off your plate. And when the AI models are exponentially getting better, I saw a 3-minute movie that if I didn't tell you it was AI, you wouldn't even know, right? I mean, that stuff is real. It's here. And you're saying 5 years from now, it's going to be fundamentally changing. So I've had the honor of hanging around some really brilliant people at some meetings. And think of the workflow that we do for listings today, right? You sign a listing with, and then you go in for photography. What could happen with Meta glasses?
Yeah.
Photography. You go walk in, press a button. It just takes all the shots you need, and you pick the 10 you need. And so there's a lot of innovation that's going to happen. And then you come back and you press a button, and it'll upload it to the MLS. You don't even have to be on there.
Yeah.
I think AI will become the new UI. So it's almost like, you don't need to learn systems when I can talk to stuff and stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I think AI will evolve. And I know at Fox Roach, they're getting the new CRM. I've actually had the CEO of that CRM solution on my pod, I think March 4th episode. It is moving from efficiency to multiplication of effort. And that is the only reason it's not going as fast as it needs to go is most people are just clueless of the capabilities.
Yeah,
right?
That's
even I am
so true.
clueless.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't change at all for the next 5 years, it will transform 95% of what you're doing today to support your clients. Having said that, the stuff that's not going to change is the relationships you have with your clients.
I was going to ask you, we talk about all this positivity in this space, and this is your job every day.
Yeah.
What's your biggest concern about AI moving forward in the next few years?
I was hoping you'd ask me that question
nice.
because it is
Okay.
a question that I don't think enough people are thinking about, right? So one of the reasons, wherever I get a chance to share a microphone or speak, I think it's important to say we need to move responsibly with AI to move human productivity forward. But the concerns are, nobody's talking, not enough people are talking about jobs. It's a geopolitical issue, right? We're trying to compete with China, so nobody wants to talk about what jobs are going to do. Everybody's jobs are going to change. Some jobs are going to go away. Some jobs are going to be created, like all these data centers they want to build. But nobody's talking about the societal impact of that stuff. So I think we just need to recognize the issues, talk about it more, because I think our politicians, no matter which part of the aisle you're in, they're not going to talk about it as much, only because it's going to sway public opinion. But we need to talk about it. So jobs is an issue. And also, how do we govern AI? Because all of these 4 or 5 big models are just racing against time to be the number one. There's not enough governance, so I think governance needs to play a big part. Don't chase after every shiny tool, even I don't. Go deep rather than go wide, because you don't have enough time in the day to get actual work done if you just chase tools. So I think there's jobs issues, there's compliance, governance issues, and also societal impact with these data centers being built. I heard there was somebody in North Brunswick, I think, New Jersey, where the whole township came together and
it's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
But they're trying to build. So there needs to be some collaborative effort, that there's transparency involved. I don't think there's enough people talking about that. Those are my big concerns with AI. And I love what the Microsoft CEO said. We should never talk about AI as a technology. We should talk about the benefit it's giving to humanity. And we need to cross that bridge. But there's some, speed bumps.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's some messy bumps in the road.
For sure.
In the future. Just out of curiosity, where do you fall in AI and the Terminator 2 Skynet scenario where, it becomes sentient and all of a sudden does away with humanity?
Look, I'm not there at all. Okay. But I'm more of an optimist with AI. I do think it's a transformative technology, but it needs human oversight. Like, there's a term in AI circles, it's called human in the loop. Yes, AI can build stuff on its own, but you still need to give it context. AI doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have, I loved a recent Seth Godin post. I wrote about it on my email. With all this stuff, everybody's going to have the same stuff. So who's really going to win are the people that double down on humanity. So I do think critical thinking, emotional intelligence, AI doesn't know that stuff. It just does stuff. So I think the more you can partner with AI and make it do the things that you're not good at or you don't have the time for, and you do the things what humans are really good at, I think that's the marriage we need to find.
All right, so last AI question. Yeah. How much have you grown to hate M-dashes?
Look, I'll tell you what. We could do a whole podcast on M-dashes, but I used to love M-dashes, Jason.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is if you use an M-dash, people think it's AI. So, unfortunately, it's the demise of the M-dash because of AI. Right?
I can't use it anymore.
I know.
I mean, do you go ellipses? I don't know, I don't know.
Emojis I've never liked.
Yeah.
M-dashes I used to love. Maybe they'll come back. Just like everything comes back for a reason, so.
Well, let's get into your new role at Bright MLS.
Yeah.
So as you step into your new role, what problems are you most excited to solve for Bright MLS?
Look, I think MLS is in a unique position because they're at the center of the real estate data ecosystem, if you will. Listings come, listings go. So we're really looking to transform Bright to an AI native MLS. And most people are AI curious, like definition-wise. AI curious is you just kind of use ChatGPT and you're curious about what AI can do. The next is AI first. Like having a co-pilot if you fly a plane, that's AI first.
Okay.
And AI native is it flies your plane and it only gives you alerts when you need to intervene.
Okay.
So we're starting to move in that direction, and our goal is think of all of the things that take you time to do on Bright. We want to fasten the outcome, do it better with AI wherever it's responsible to use it, and transform how we think of products, how we think of support. I mean, there's so many areas AI could influence, your experience with an MLS. The idea is customer satisfaction. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I would love American Airlines. If they're listening to this, I'm sure they'll sponsor your podcast, Jason. But I was on their phone for 4 hours waiting to solve a simple problem. So can AI help you with that? Absolutely, right? So there's problems, there's friction points from customer support to research. Think of research. You could simply ask an AI agent, give me a research for Bluebell, Pennsylvania for luxury homes. Boom, it gives you a report and sends it to an email. That is doable now, right, with AI. So we're looking at high-impact use cases that support subscribers and brokers, and we're going to chop off one thing at a time, So that's really what I'm excited about.
It sounds amazing, and I have no doubt that your presence there is going to make a market shift in how the day-to-day operation for agents and how we use Bright MLS is going to change in the next several years. So I want to know, you've traveled the country.
Yeah.
You've met a lot of people in this industry, inside and out, right?
Yeah.
You've just come across really, really impressive people. I want to know who stands out to you, since I have you here, as someone that really just blew you away with their knowledge. And it could be about anything, anybody that you've met anywhere. I want to know, in your travels, who comes across to you as someone who just really wowed you with their knowledge base and who they are as a person.
It's interesting. It's hard to pick one. You know that. And it almost feels like you need to pick one in the time you're in that is influencing you the most, maybe not a decade ago. So I do a lot of speaking, as you know. So I've started to kind of learn more about communication skills, how to speak well, how to get through. And this is really good for every agent, right? Think of sales communication.
Yeah.
So there's a guy that spoke at one of the BHHS conventions in Louisville called Vin Giang.
Yes.
His Instagram handle, I believe, is AskVINH. We can put it in the link in the show notes. So I've subscribed to his content. I've seen him speak live in Louisville a few years ago. And then I've even taken a few classes with him, and how he communicates, whether it's on a virtual call, in person, has fundamentally transformed how I think about communication. So he's a great follow on Instagram for anyone listening to the pod, because communication, if you can solve communication, that's half the battle.
That guy is so impressive. Yeah. Every time that I'm on a podcast and I say, I think of him actually in the back of my mind when I saw him in Louisville, and I follow his social media page, of course. Just a really impressive human being. So that's a great answer. So before we get out of here, we wrap this up. I just said I want to know, from your perspective, what do you think that agents need to be aware of in the future to remain relevant in the real estate space and not fall by the wayside? We see production of agents that don't evolve with the times kind of falling off in production. What do you think is going to be the most important thing that they're going to have to be aware of in the coming years? It could be an AI answer, it could be outside of AI, but where do you think what do you think threatens agents' business the most at this point?
I think the consumer is getting smarter by the day. And we touched on it briefly. Like, they have access to AI also. So they can validate everything you're sending. Like your listing presentation can be put into AI and say, where does this agent fail? So there's a lot. I think consumers are gaining knowledge. I saw a stat, this was like dated now. 70 million people use ChatGPT every day in the US alone. And that number is probably north of 100 million now. And that is just adults. So our population, so more than 1/3 use it. So consumers are going at a pace. The challenge is AI, real estate agents are not using it at the same pace as consumers.
Yeah.
So I do think there's a divide that's happening between consumers and agents. So for you to be current and stay ahead of the curve, you need to be curious, insanely curious. I'm not talented at all compared to the people I hang around with, but I'm insanely curious to try things, fail forward, do those type of things. So I would suggest, as an agent, if you just set aside 30 minutes a day to goof around in AI, you'll have enough light bulb moments over time that will fundamentally change how you do business as a real estate agent.
Shifts your lifestyle. It shifts who you are as an agent and as a person potentially. Because one of the things that I just was listening to your latest guest from New Zealand on your podcast, and he was talking about his light bulb moment was making an itinerary when he went on vacation. Or went to another country. I think he was going to China, and he made some kind of itinerary. And you had talked about that before at the beginning, like conception of AI and everything. You did it yourself. Yeah. And it is a light bulb moment going off. So it's moving the ball forward slowly but surely the more you mess around with it. So with all that said, last question that I want to pose to you. Now, I've tortured you in the past with some offbeat questions. I just want to ask you a very simple question. What is one business tool or personal item that you cannot live without as of today?
So business tool, I'll share this with everybody that is listening, because the last 4 or 5 months, Jason, this is my favorite tool. I use it all day, every day. And that is called whisperflow.ai. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, humans think our brain runs 100 miles an hour and we type at 20 miles an hour. Documented, right? So, and I don't, like I said, I don't share any tools that I've not used, right? So I used to type, and this thing measures how fast you type, so it knows you're typing, and then it knows your speaking speed. So the last 4 months, since I did a keynote presentation, I have the slide visually in my keynote, 54 words per minute I type. That's my speed. Mm-hmm. But using WhisperFlow, because I simply press a button on my computer on any app I'm using, it just transcribes, very smart transcriber. On my phone, it just came out for Android too, so for all your three Android users listening to the podcast, can also download WhisperFlow. And I simply speak it, and it just let go of the button, and then it rewrites that. And if I say, typically, think about when I'm writing you an email, Jason, I'll say, hey, let's write Jason an email and tell him that I'm running late, 30 minutes late for my appointment, whatever. Then I say, not 30, 15. And you're usually backspacing and writing that. This thing figures it out and just writes it for you because you let go, and then it writes the actual thing you want to say.
Wow.
So I'm now at 232 words per minute, thanks to WhisperFlow.
That's pretty impressive.
So that transforms everything you're doing productivity-wise, and your fingers will thank you, right? I mean, you're not doing carpal tunnel, all of that stuff that we deal with because we're sitting in front of a keyboard. So WhisperFlow has transformed my life. And we'll include a link in the show notes for people that want to try a pro. I have a 14-day free trial for a pro, but it is game-changing.
Wow. All right, so what's one personal item? You said you had a personal item as well. I don't know what new gadget you're on. But
look, if I tell people that I'm on an iPhone 13 Pro, my credibility goes down.
So what are you even doing here at this point?
I know, exactly. What am I doing?
Yeah, you've lost all credibility.
My kids and my wife have an iPhone 17. I'm waiting for the flip phone that is an iPhone that is rumored to come out this year. I'm not a big gadget guy, Jason. Personal items, look, I just watch some shows and take my mind off AI. Mm-hmm. More than anything else. But I'm just blessed with an incredible wife, married for 32 years, 3 kids. My daughter just moved to Santa Monica, California.
Good for her.
Good, yeah. I mean, she's living the life and working remotely in Jersey, so it's just crazy. So, no, I just enjoy my family, my parents. So I don't necessarily that's my personal item is my family, so I'm just blessed.
Well, I'll tell you, it's always good to talk to you. Obviously, breaking down some knowledge about the AI space, what you're doing with Bright. Let's talk about how people can connect with you online or where they can find you to kind of follow you and get into what you're talking about.
The good news about me, Jason, is that there's not many Sajjas on LinkedIn.
I thought you were going to say I'm everywhere.
No, well, I am everywhere, but there's only like 2 Sajjas, I think, in Philadelphia. So if you just Google me, I think you'll find. So we'll put a link to my social handles in the show notes. 2 things I'll recommend. If you want to be an AI-powered agent in 2026 and beyond, there's 2 resources I'll tell you that you should be on. Number 1, there's an Real Estate AI Insiders Instagram channel that's on the link tree we're going to put in my show notes. You should join that because that's where I drop the most tried and true tips there first. Second, my weekly AI newsletter that comes out Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. where I feature some things, upcoming podcast episodes, and obviously Real Estate AI Flash podcast on Wednesday. Those are my tried and true 3 resources that will stand the test of time for you to become an AI-powered agent.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's really easy to find you online, so make sure to follow Rajeev wherever you're going to follow Rajeev, and make sure to listen to his podcast. Of course, Rajeev, I'm going to see you on the pickleball court sometime this summer, so I know you're still close by. I'm very appreciative of that, and always a pleasure to talk to you one-on-one and get your voice on the podcast.
Absolutely, man. I'm hoping to see many of our agents at the Nashville convention, which is this episode is going to come right before it, hopefully. But I just have treasured the moments with all our agents, employees, staff, leadership, agents like yourself, and those memories will never leave me.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Rajeev. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you, man.
Well, that's it for the podcast this week. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, a new guest. And as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me at jason.ostrowsky@foxroach.com. And if you haven't liked or subscribed to our podcast yet or found us on YouTube, please make sure to do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowsky saying stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.